Indy, good to see you again. Thank you so much for your time.
I know, we've met before, haven't we?
We have, for industry. Feels like a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Way
lose
back
track
when.
of time.
A fair yonk ago.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I feel like it depends on the project, but I'm curious to talk to you about this in regards to House of David on Prime. You get these scripts, and then at some point you see it come to life, right? While you go into production. What was that script to screen journey like for you on House of David specifically?
It's interesting because I mean, a lot of the scenes, like a lot of the close family scenes and some of the scenes with David, they're kind of 2 or 3 handers, or they're kind of dinner table scenes, and those are the ones where the dialogue is really the crux of what's going on, and you can kind of picture that pretty well. But then every now and again, there are these very big sweeping situations, which they always. It's definitely the biggest scale of thing I've ever worked on, and coming onto the sets for the first time and seeing how they are genuinely that big, and there's that many people and horses, and they've built all these massive kind of tents and villages and stuff. It's really impressive.
It's interesting, right? Because at the end of the day, House of David is made for one kind of audience in mind, and that is the audience, right? The viewer. So I'm wondering, from an acting perspective, when do you start thinking about the audience? Is that something you think about once you wrap? Do you kind of talk about that before you go into production about certain things? Like, when do you start thinking about the audience, Indy?
I think for a show like this, obviously there is one target audience in mind, but for me and for my character, I think that there are so many stories that are so universal, even if it was set like BC super, super long ago, that I like to think that a lot of the things that we are showing and telling could resonate with all kinds of audiences. I think I tend to only start to think about the fact that these shows are going to be watched by lots of people after I'm wrapped. I can't kind of contend with that whilst working. I think it would bring a stressful energy into the mix.
Absolutely. It's all storytelling at the end of the day, but, diving into different worlds, playing different characters. I'm curious, when you look at something like this and past projects, how separate are past projects for you compared to something like House of David? Do you bring mindsets, preparations from something like industry to this show, or are they completely kind of separate once you wrap them?
Yeah, I was asked this question if there's any similarities between Venetian industry and Mychal, and I think they are obviously completely worlds apart, but there is a thread of this type of woman that is balancing so many things and having to come across and present in a certain way that it builds and builds and builds and builds. And in this particular instance, it's only when she kind of meets David and she meets this person that really sees her and understands her that you get to see how much she's kind of holding and how much is going on underneath. And I think that strikes a chord with people like Venetia. It also strikes a chord with a lot of young women. So, of course, they are wildly different in many ways, but I think there's that thread.
Take me through, super quick before we wrap, and it's tough to do this because these are such monster productions, like you said, right? The scale's so big and they're long, right? So it's like, take me through that first day versus that last day on set of House of David. What was that like for you?
Sure. Well, my first day was pretty intense. It was with Ali, who plays Saul, my dad, and it is a really, really important relationship, Mychal and Saul, throughout that series. So it was the first day that I met him, and it was also the first day that we acted together, and they were quite hefty scenes. It was a library scene. And I think being able to go through that, there was a lot of text, was such a nice way, if not nerve-wracking, to start. And then my last scene was so anticlimactic. I think it was walking down a corridor or something like this. And I remember thinking it would be so upsetting if we didn't come back for season 2 to end it like that, because everyone got so close so quickly.
Absolutely. And House of David is streaming on Prime Video. You can check that out. Indy, so great catching up with you. Thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope to see you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.